everyone, and welcome to Ascended Masters 101. This is where we talk all about the teachings of the Ascended Masters. First off, let me say that an Ascended Master is someone who has triumphed over time and space and graduated from the schoolroom of Earth to return to the heart of God forever. It's the ultimate goal of life, and it's something that you and I are meant to do as well. If you want to learn more about the Ascended Masters, I recommend the video on this channel called Who Are the Ascended Masters? One of the most prominent Ascended Masters in our world today is the Ascended Master Saint Germain. He had many well-known embodiments on the earth before he accepted his ascension on May of 1684. The theme of helping others find God was a major factor throughout his lives, even as he was still earning his own soul's freedom. To learn about Saint Germain's embodiments, I invite you to watch the video, Saint Germain's Many Lives, What You Need to Know. In this video, I'd like to talk about what Saint Germain has been devoting himself towards since he made his ascension these few hundred years ago. And I can tell you, he's been really busy. The reason this is important to you and I is because he has shown that he is relentless in supporting you and I on our spiritual paths. And so much of what he does is towards that end. He's almost like a spiritual Santa with a bag filled with rare and precious gifts for our souls if we will just accept and use them. So let's see what Saint Germain has been up to on our behalf. First of all, in the latter part of the 18th century, Saint Germain became the Chohan of the Seventh Ray. Now, let's break that down. A Chohan means lord or master, a chief. The Chohans are selected from among the most qualified ascended beings who have arisen from Earth's schoolroom. Now, the pure white light of God can be separated into 7 colors or rays, just like light can be separated into the colors of the rainbow. Each ray is a concentration of particular gifts and graces and principles of self-awareness in God that can be developed by souls. The 7th ray carries many qualities, and if you think about Saint Germain's embodiments and the causes he has championed, you can probably see why he was offered this really special position. Some qualities of the 7th ray are mercy, forgiveness, freedom, justice, tolerance, liberty, the flow and action of light, diplomacy, prophecy, transmutation, poise, the law of transcendence, and sacred ceremony such as baptism or communion. As the Chohan of the 7th ray, Saint Germain is our teacher of these qualities because in order to make our own ascension, we must have a certain mastery of each of the 7 rays. So the 7 Chohans are essentially 7 amazing friends and personal mentors and coaches on our own spiritual path. Saint Germain especially teaches us about alchemy, which is the science of self-transformation. This is really special because, in my experience, that is the backbone of what the teachings of the Ascended Masters are all about. So, if that's not enough, Saint Germain is also the hierarch of the Aquarian Age, together with the Ascended Lady Master Portia, his twin flame. She is just amazing and the topic of a whole nother video. A twin flame is someone who is your spiritual other half, and we were all given one. Again, another video. So, what does hierarch of the Aquarian Age mean? Our world goes through 2,000-year periods of time called ages in which a particular ascended master guides and directs the consciousness of all mankind. These last 2,000 years, Jesus has been the hierarch of the age of Pisces. On May 1st, 1954, Saint Germain received the authority to direct the consciousness of mankind for this next 2,000-year period. No wonder it feels like major gears are being shifted in our world today. We're literally transitioning from one 2,000-year age to another. Now, you might think, what about Jesus and everything that he brought? Well, this doesn't mean that the influence of Jesus has receded in any way. In fact, as a world teacher from the ascended level, his instruction and his radiation of the Christ consciousness to all mankind will be even more powerful than before because it is the nature of God to continually transcend and expand upon itself. So in a nutshell, this dispensation means that we are now entering a 2,000-year period in which we have the opportunity to use the violet flame to clear away our negative karma of the past and purify the energies of our beings, which will allow everyone to walk in the light as God-free beings. Now, before the 20th century, the knowledge of the violet flame was only available to the people who had passed certain spiritual initiations or tests and were granted entrance into mystery schools. So adepts of East and West used the violet flame to accelerate their spiritual progress. However, at this dawn of the age of Aquarius, Saint Germain saw the many challenges we were facing on Earth, so he went before the spiritual overseers of the planet and he asked that the knowledge and use of the violet flame be made available to everyone. Now, for collateral, he offered all his momentum of the violet flame. He was granted his request and received the opportunity to release the knowledge of the violet flame outside of the inner retreats. So he did exactly that. Remember how he sponsored George Washington during the forming of our nation? The soul of George Washington had embodied again on the earth, and his name was Guy Ballard. Saint Germain called him his general in the field. Can you imagine having Saint Germain say that about you? That's quite a compliment. In the early 1930s, Saint Germain reached out to him in a really amazing and memorable way. In fact, Guy Ballard wrote a book about his adventures with Saint Germain called Unveiled Mysteries, which I do so very, very much recommend. This book, as well as the Magic Presence and the I Am Discourses that Guy Ballard wrote under the pen name Godfrey Ray King, released the foundation of Saint Germain's instruction for the new age of Aquarius. Saint Germain trained Guy Ballard as his messenger, and through him, Saint Germain founded the I Am movement, through which the previously secret knowledge of the violet flame was released to the world at large. This is huge. It is now available online and in books all throughout the world. Now, if you want to learn more about the violet flame, check out the video on this channel called The Violet Flame Explained. In 1961, Saint Germain contacted his embodied representative, the messenger Mark Prophet, and outlined the Keepers of the Flame fraternity, in which people from all religions and backgrounds come together to reconsecrate their lives to the rekindling of the flame of life and of freedom in the souls of God's people. Saint Germain is the Knight Commander of the Keepers of the Flame fraternity, and I have to tell you, I love being a part of this group of incredible people who walk in a more direct and intimate mentorship and personal tutorage with Saint Germain. You decide to stand for Saint Germain, and he will stand for you, and trust me, you want Saint Germain in your court. Plus, you get monthly lessons on cosmic law that are packed with spiritual insights and keys that are hugely important to your spiritual growth. I worked with the lessons for a few years when I worked for the Summit Lighthouse, and I am convinced that if people applied what is in those lessons, they could make their own ascension. They're just so full and rich. I'll post a link below this video to the Keepers of the Flame website so you can look into it if you like. Saint Germain has a home of light, known as an etheric retreat in the heaven world. Many Ascended Masters have etheric retreats which are placed strategically across the globe. These retreats are teeming centers of learning, spiritual activity, healing, refuge, etc. for souls like you and I, and each retreat has a unique design and purpose. Saint Germain maintains a focus in the golden etheric city over the Sahara Desert. He also teaches classes at the Royal Teton Retreat and at his own physical/etheric retreat, the Cave of Symbols in Table Mountain, Wyoming. He also works out of the Great Divine Directors Retreat, the Cave of Light in India, and the Rakoczki Mansion in Transylvania, where he presides as the hierarch. More recently, he has established a base in South America at the retreat of the God and Goddess Meru. So Saint Germain teaches at a lot of retreats. Ascended Masters can have fragrance associated with them, and Saint Germain's is the fragrance of the flower violets. In closing, I'd like to quote Saint Germain. He says, "I am Saint Germain, and I have come to claim your soul and the fires of your heart for the victory of the Aquarian age. I have set the pattern for your soul's initiation. I am on the path of freedom. Take that path and you will find me there. I am your teacher if you will have me. That's Saint Germain, volume 18, number 30. If you want to get to know Saint Germain better, I recommend the pocketbook called Saint Germain. I also recommend the book called Lords of the Seven Rays for a much more detailed, deep dive discussion into this Ascended Master. So thank you so much for watching. If you find it helpful, please like and subscribe and have a wonderful week.